Has anyone here on Zoom or in the chapel ever had difficulty putting words to your experience of God or who God is to you? Show of hands? Oh, good. I'm not alone then. Great. It's hard to put words to the ineffable, to the one who is beyond all names. And yet, as human beings, we try our best to describe that experience because it helps us make meaning of what we have encountered. In this morning's gospel, Jesus talks about faith and oneness. He invites the disciples to believe that he is in God and God is in him, and that the works he has done reflect that relational oneness. Today, we will talk about how we and all creation are one with the divine, how we might describe that relationship, and how we put flesh to the ineffable. I believe two theological approaches are foundational to our way of describing the divine. Apophatic theology is silence in the face of holy mystery, whereas cataphatic theology uses metaphors and other language to describe the divine. In his book, The Solace of Fierce Landscapes, Exploring Desert and Mountain Spirituality, Belden Lane puts it this way. Apophatic theology, holding its breath for as long as it can, sometimes bursts at last into a cataphatic excess of language. The goal of cataphatic verbosity is ultimately to run itself out, collapsing into nervous silence in the presence of mystery. I think this describes the tension we feel when speaking of our experience of the divine or our personal relationship with the Holy One. We use language, acknowledging both its importance and inadequacy, realizing we must also bow in humble silence to the mystery within, among, and beyond us. Last week, during homily response, Polly shared how our language during liturgy does not adequately reflect the holy mystery that permeates our being. I agree with her perspective. And honestly, I have searched and struggled for years to find the right words that reflect my and our evolving theology. Sometimes those words have enfleshed our God relationship well, and other times have fallen well short. Perhaps this is an invitation to all of us to reflect on how our language can better enflesh our God relationship while accepting its inherent limitations. I'd now like to share with you a few personal experiences that speak of oneness with creation, with one another, and with ourselves. These reflect both apophatic and cataphatic ways of describing my encounters of oneness with the divine. The first is an experience that occurred about 30 years ago in northern Maine. Stan and I and our 3 children seaplaned into a remote campsite on Lobster Lake. Only one other family was there, and they were a couple hundred yards away. After dinner, We were playing cards at the picnic table when the full moon began to rise between two mountains. The awe-inspiring beauty was beyond words, and all five of us just gazed at this amazing sight and allowed it to permeate our being. Never in my life have I had a more beautiful companion while playing cards. Later, after the kids were asleep in their tent, Stan and I were treated to profound silence that was deeper and louder than any I have ever heard. A breathtaking sense of oneness overtook me. And in that surprising moment, I felt enmeshed with God, Stan, and the silence that embraced us. Oneness can come in unexpected ways. And as Mark Nepo reminded us earlier, we need to embrace that unexpected moment of unity as the atom of God. The second example is an experience from my brother-in-law's final days. Stan's oldest brother, Ed, was dying of cancer and about to enter hospice care. We traveled to Colorado to be with him for a few days and had some special one-on-one time with him. These were heart moments where silence, words, and touch spoke the language of love. Ed was agnostic, and when it came time to say goodbye before flying home, I told him, "Go deep inside you to the love and peace that are there, and they will take you where you need to go." In that moment, I felt divine mystery within Ed and me connect in an extraordinary moment of oneness. The last illustration is an experience from a retreat I attended this past March, a week-long forest bathing retreat, a nature immersion in the mountains of Asheville, North Carolina. Every day, we went to a different part of the forest and sat in nature for 3 hours, pondering questions our retreat leader offered. It was a wondrous and unforgettable time when I felt divine energy pulsating everywhere. One day, our leader asked us to find something in nature that spoke to us and sit next to it, listening to what it might be teaching us. So I sat next to a cute baby pine tree. Then I took a couple of nearby pine cones, branches, and leaves and formed a circle around it. I saw that as a circle of love and trust. In order for that baby tree to grow, it would need to be nurtured. This made me think of the little ones in our family that will need circles of love and trust to nurture them and help them grow and become who they are meant to be. In that moment, this little tree, my inner being, the wee ones in our family, and the many people who are and will be nurturing them were all connected. God was surely present in this heart-touching moment of oneness and awareness. Every one of us experiences the divine in unique and powerful ways. This week, listen closely to the life pulse deep within you and to the life coursing through your relationships with other people and creation. Reflect on the language you might use to describe these experiences and the oneness embodied in them. remember, love is one with you and embracing you in every moment.